Checking. Is this thing on? Welcome back to News It's Not For Everybody. The question is today, folks, is who is really ruling and running this world? Let's get into it. We'll be right back.
Got one that can see.
Welcome everybody back to the Visual Disturbance channel. Thank you all so very much for being here. We are back at it again on this News It's Not For Everybody, Visual Disturbance style in the house this afternoon. Before we get into the broadcast, hit all the links in the description. And I think there's a few other things there too, like the Twitter page, X, Facebook, all that good stuff, social media, and ways you can find me besides YouTube. So hit that like button, subscribe, share this thing out. We're going to be on live here. We're going to be talking about the lizard people, talking about the UFOs, talking about time, continuum, quantum, and field. You know how it is on Visual Disturbance. I like to talk borderline boomhauer off the king of the hill, and I like to have a good time as I do it. So welcome to the crazy asylum in 2026, where everything is being dismissed, and things are not what they seem, and people are going into a panic mode, and things that are just not, let's just say, being revealed. And basically some things have been revealed and things are coming to light here in this world. And it's very disgusting and very interesting that these things are choosing, and the powers that be are choosing 2026. So hang on to your seat, folks, because it's going to be bumpy right here. And I'm not talking about UFO phenomenon. Well, I might be talking about that. But thank y'all for being here with me in this lovely afternoon with the 60-something degrees here in the Bluegrass State, and it's getting crazier by the minute. But like I asked you guys earlier, who is really controlling the world? What is this? What is going on? Does anybody out there feel a paradigm shift? All this nonsense and just rhetoric that you hear? If those of y'all been following me for a long period of time, we talk about biblical narratives, we talk about Nephilim, we talk about UFOs, we talk about anything that goes. And we also love to talk about biblical narratives when it talks about our King of Kings, right? We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, before we get going, we're going to show some tweets, some X posts. We're even going to show some information here and some news that is not for everybody. So hang in there like a hair in a biscuit here in the good to go Kentucky State. And let's just jump on into this thing. If you haven't subscribed to the X account, it's been a little bit that I've been trying to put a lot of information into that. I've been trying to build this thing for maybe several years, and it's a very hard platform to get in the algorithm just to get some traction. So yeah, check it out at Visual Disturbance. You'll be glad you did. Well, folks, let's just go on into it. Let's just get on into it. There's something I've been wanting to talk about for a long period of time, and we've kind of speculative went around it, talked about it a little bit, and especially after, well, Sunday Night Live broadcast with David Carrico, we did a really interesting conversation about, well, let's just say time travel. And it's not what you think. But there's a TV show out there. You guys know how I love to do TV shows and decode them and talk about them in that way, in that light. Well, I seen this post about a year or so ago. And you hear the term singularity coming and time travel mechanisms. You hear the mutants, the E-files that have been dropping these quantum field, quantum entanglement, boogeyman, all this nonsense, right? So what can you really believe is the question. What is really holding truthful? Is there any like volume and weight to this world that we live in? Speaking of singularity, Speaking of AI, it's hard to look between the blurry lines to see what's actually real and what isn't. But I do remember this TV show. I actually watched it. I watched it on VidAngel. Believe it or not, I'm not promoting VidAngel or any kind of anything from promotional stance. But VidAngel was a very cool thing if you, don't want to hear and see a bunch of cussing and cursing and all kinds of psychological nasty stuff. You can use VidAngel and it literally filters out all the nonsense. So, check this out. There's a show that came out not too long ago, and this individual in this tweet here said, I was told by a guy in the NSA that the TV series Dark has more real science in relation to the UFO phenomenon than anything that has ever been publicly released. And the show doesn't mention UFOs once, by the way. So, there's the hashtags there: time travel, infinite loops, singularity, great cycles, all that good stuff. But the TV show is called Dark. Well, if you take a big rabbit hole with this, I wanted to kind of point some things out. The information we disclosed on the FOJC side of things the other night on Sunday Night Live, we talked about a specific topic. We talked about inventions that could walk through walls and different things that would do with DNA and signatures and all kinds of insanity, right? Like today's program when it says news is not for everybody, insanity on a different level. Well, in this Dark TV series, they go this tunnel. And every time they go this tunnel, it has electrical magnetic field, some kind of phenomenon happens. There's weather pulsing everywhere, changes in weather patterns, you name it. It's inversion, dark, light. They go through the tunnel, they come back, and there'll be another time, okay? But the individual will be either alive in that time as a doppelganger type of mentality, older, younger, what have you. But it's interesting that the individual goes through there and the weather phenomenon. And they go through this ancient, literally, supposedly, time portal, but I think it's to do with black arts and magic and nuclear physics. Okay? There, I said it. And when you look at these inventions and the e-files talking about nuclear fusion, nuclear reactors, nuclear, and I think it has something to do with biological consequences of that one email that we referred to here on the channel, talking about mutations, talking about what happened to a population. Well, I just want to throw some out here, folks, for food for thought, because I'm actually going to be kind of pulling the Band-Aid and the shackles off of old Visual Disturbance today, and I'm going to give you a lot more in depth than just hearsay and speculation. When I think about this, I think about the Philadelphia experiment. I think about, like it's saying, the jumping down the rabbit hole, so to speak, jumping down the tunnel systems, these cave systems, these underground facilities, these domes, right? Well, I don't know about you guys, but anywhere, if you have a weather phenomenon like we've had significant, insane weather. Okay, we got ice that's just now melting. It's 60-something degrees. It's 68 degrees here in the Bluegrass State. It's just finally starting to melt. And yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Everybody's like, yeah, I remember back in 1998, it was just back. Yes, I remember that too. I get it. But this year, 2026, people are starting to wake up. People are trying to really ask, what is the snow doing here? Why is it? Some people are saying they took in blowtorches and burning it, and it's lighting on fire, and it's got some kind of reaction, okay, like a spark, right? Well, we could say it's chemicals. We could say it's magical world of nonsense. We could say it's pixie dust. We could say it's a little spray in the cray. And I think we could really navigate toward the things in the sky that go bump in the night, and they still do. I just seen it the other night where we had this fog, like smog, go over top of the air. So, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, voila, we have instantaneously heat wave here in the early February, mid-February, and according to this dark TV show, weather was something to that level. So I'm just asking, just kind of have a what-if hypothetical moment here. What if the powers that be have technology where they have to enhance the elements, enhance the airwaves, enhance with antennas, enhance the molecular field, and I just want to throw us out here, a couple cents here, through a couple little cents of information. They're telling people in other parts of the states of America to stay inside because the air quality is too bad. So, what if we're using UFO technology, re-engineered, and we're playing around with things we should not be playing around with? And what if there's something to this dark TV series showing you something with black holes, black, mechanisms, and let's just say a little black goo mechanism that goes back to antiquity. We talked about this many times on the channel. Egyptians, talked about the 3,500-year-old sarcophaguses that had some type of blood of the gods, right? The blood of the gods. I love how they put so much emphasis in it. The blood of the gods, It's just funny. So, what's your all's take on that? Comment below. It's going to get some more deeper, more food for thought commentary here on this next one. Yeah, I had to pause for a second. The cyclical universe theory suggests that universe endless dies and is reborn. So we talked about this the other night on the channel, on the FOJC side of things, talking about reincarnation, loopholes, and talking about the quantum entanglement where there's a atom here and or atom over somewhere else, and they're communicating with some shape or form. And I think it has to do with these, let's just say, interesting technological advancements that mankind has done with the fallen angel narrative. And that's why they're pushing something. And we're going to be talking about here in a little bit what they actually are pushing in the narrative. Just throwing a little loophole in here. The endlessly dies and is reborn. I look at the biblical narrative on this one. And I think about Ecclesiastes when it talks about there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. The things that have been before. I'm paraphrasing. But it makes you wonder, right? It really makes you wonder. We're not going to be speaking fear and doom and Dr. Doom style. The other day, somebody said, we're going to call you now, Brian, Brother Doom. Well, don't do that. Well, if you want to, it's fine. Nephilim chaser on steroids in Kentucky. It is finest. So, little insight there. Well, there's another individual. I'm going to throw some information out here on the X side of things. This individual named Mark. Mark says, we are not in the golden age for America. We are in the age of deception. Well, I would have to agree with that, Mr. Mark. I would have to agree with that. What are your all's take on that? Because, let's just say, spiritually speaking, I'm going to try to see if I can take a few Band-Aids off of this. Now, I know I can't speak the English language very fluently or charismatically or pronunciation or pronounce words correctly. But I'm going to put something out there. About 15 years ago or less, and give or take in between, there were some individuals that knew me. I talk about Indian mounds, talk about UFOs, talk about Indian, the Indian culture, the Nanahi, the things that just some people just don't grasp. Spiritual things, and looking into ufology and thinking about things on a different level. Open-mindedness. There was individuals out there that would scoff and mock me, tell me to take something and stick it in my arm, and just be an idiot. That's what they would say. They literally would say that. Blast me, say slanderous things, and it's just so dark and demented. And I just want to throw us out here, folks. There's some things we're going to be talking about here on this broadcast where it's really resonate with me. I had to put some food for thought into it last night and just contemplate on how that I was going to speak about this topic. When something doesn't get you riled up, like when something you just scrub it off, because I've been there, and you tell everybody to do what everybody else is doing, you lead your brother, your sister astray into when you have knowledge and you just throw it at them and say, this is nothing. You're imbecile. You have nothing left. Just do what you gotta do and get along to get along. Well, I had individuals like that, some coworkers in the past that did that. Well, I never listened to these individuals telling me to do medical advice or telling me to do things, and they would always laugh and make fun of me when they said there's things that's going to be coming upon the earth where man's hearts will fail them. And I wonder to this day if these individuals, I know there's one trolling me. I do know there's one trolling me. It's kind of interesting that I'm not like just a dumb hillbilly. Okay, so shout out to somebody out there with the first name S. Gotta love him. Gotta love him. He trolled me at work. Now he's trolling me on the airwaves. Just gotta love him. Just gotta love him. I hope some of this stuff has been waking you up to the false paradigm that you've been living in. So, just want to put that out there. Individuals, that if you talked about this stuff, they would really kill you. But I wonder how their inversion of a reality and flipped up on their head, how they live today. I just wondered. But what I want to point out before some of the information I'm going to show, I had a thought, guys and gals, and everybody out there in the universe of visual disturbance. I had a thought. The stuff that has been disclosed, the stuff that has been literally eradicating our paradigm the last 2 weeks and causing people to lose their wits. And then there's some folks, they're not losing their wits and they're not composed, and they're in literally tribalistic type of mentality. Or there's some out there that are completely displaced and literally in cognitive dissonance land, and they choose not to believe anything. So I asked myself, have I ever been there before? And yes, I have. I used to do that years ago. So I'm coming to an angle that I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've done these things. I've been foolish in my mindset. I have literally, and you know what's interesting? When you got the guts and you know that you can stand and literally just say, look, I'm going to be real with you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be accountable. Well, there's some folks that can't be accountable. And that's even the higher powers, the overlords, right? These overlords that control society. The lizard people, right? Well, I had this thought in my head. If you don't care and if it doesn't bother you, and these people know how to pull on your strings, like the fallen angels knew how to defile mankind, well, don't we think that can happen spiritually? And if it doesn't affect you, if it doesn't, like when you see this imagery and see all these emails and see all this filth, and I don't recommend looking at it, but when you see it and it just literally just is so vile and disturbing, right? And it's visually disturbing, to say the least. But if you scrub it off and you act like it's just gonna go away, and you become displaced and compliant to everything, you get stuck in your home. I think the word would be apathetic. You just can't focus. You're in disarray. You don't know where you're at, and you just go along to get along with like an NPC in the Matrix realm. I think the sin thing that they talk about in the biblical narrative all the time, I think that the powers that be have taught you how to sin so well that you've outplayed yourself, and your sin is worse in the manner that because you think that you're more righteous and you don't have to worry about this stuff, right? And these evil entities and evil men that's taught these things through the television, they're winning. But you're demonstrating worse sin, and your true roots are coming out. Just want to throw it out there. I've been there. That's why I'm saying it to you live here on the airwaves. So I just want to get that out of the way. So what if people have been literally taken over by something of antiquity, something of ancient, something the Bible talks about specifically about demonic control? I pray for those folks. I really, truly do. I'm not scoffing. I'm not pointing that mote in somebody's eye and saying, hey, how dare you? I'm trying to tell you, coming from experience, I used to be the same way. And I used to be justifying my foolishness based off my paradigm and however it made me feel. If it made me feel better, it made me feel more comfortable, and I would just go back to sleep. For real. I've been there. Don't be that person that goes back to sleep. So once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. You strive to not do it. You strive to be a better human. You strive to be stronger. You strive to be collectively helping people and shining the light instead of being shining darkness. Think about it. Food for thought here on Visual Disturbance. Didn't mean to go too deep. Didn't mean to go too deep there. Didn't mean to go there. But we did. We did. Well, I did mean it. But we did. We went there. So let's talk about something else. Talk about something else in the news is not for everybody. SpaceX, you gotta love it. There's a lot of speculation going online right now that Elon Musk had a secret space program way long before he even created SpaceX. That's how crazy everything's getting, folks. So SpaceX just officially shifted its number one priority to building a self-growing city. Just think about it. It said self-growing. Self-growing. Think about it. Yeah. No. a self-growing city on the moon. Not a base, not an outpost, a city. A city, folks. Here's why it makes sense. According to this tweet, you can launch to the moon every 10 days versus every 26 months for Mars. Mars, like we talked about the other night, John Carter film, 2012 flick. And he uses a medallion to transport himself, and literally he's dead to this realm, dead to the Earth realm. He has this medallion that he gets from this Thurn, this magician slash shapeshifter that teleports with this medallion. And he says, Barsum. And then all of a sudden, miraculously, opens up a portal in a cave. Mind you, a cave. Remember the TV show Dark earlier? You see the comparisons? It's always a cave. And all of a sudden, this Thurn dies because John takes, action in his own hands. And the Thurn bleeds. And then Mr. Carter speaks Barsum and teleports. So, kind of interesting where that is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just a secret. Maybe it's something secretive where you transport, but you never become the same human that you left. Think about it. Gilboreem. Excuse me. No, throwing no smoke toward the SpaceX. I'm talking about on the hypothetical that these things have went on in our realm. So speaking on, 2 day trip versus 6 days or 6 months, that means hundreds of irritation cycles before you could even attempt the same thing on Mars. And today, Elon Musk followed up saying SpaceX will build a system that lets anyone travel to the moon. The engineering logic here is sound. Build fast, learn fast, then go further. So, welcome to the look at that beautiful picture of the Earth. But yeah, so I just want to throw this out here real quick and put my stamp of crazy approval on this. Here at the Visual Disturbance channel, we believe a lot of different things. We tackle a lot of different things. But one thing we do tackle, and we try to stay true. We don't want to ever give out any information that's crazy when it comes to deep, informative, when it comes to spiritual walk applications. And this broadcast today is just to throw these information out there that this is in the airwaves, okay? So I just want to disclose that. Disclaimer. And these building systems that literally grow, nanotechnology, engineering with sound, build fast, Tartarian Empire technology, and it just makes you wonder. It really does make you wonder if it's something on the levels of you die to this existence and then you travel to somewhere else on another realm. Because I got books on that, talking about men that died back in World War, you know what, and went across the Bermuda Triangle and supposedly dematerialized and manifested somewhere else in Argotha. It's like a 1970s book. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder what's really going on here. And then when you come back, maybe you got a little alteration, genetically DNA altered to where you can jump ship and be a jumper, a time jumper. Well, in a figurative sense, probably just more like, not time jumping, but physical manifesting of a teleportation unit. How about that? That's what I feel. So moving on, what's your all's thoughts? Moving on. So sound, building fast, getting her done, psychological warfare at its highest order. So let's just go on. I got a little bit more information on this. Because we talked about this on the channel. We talked about hotels and I think it was NVIDIA. NVIDIA was talking about this. It was like couple $100,000 a night to go at the hotel at the moon. I'd be like, could you imagine, honey, I want to go to the moon. I can't even afford to go to Tennessee. I can't even afford to go to Machu Picchu. I can't even afford to travel to England. I can't even afford to get a plane ticket. I can't even afford to put gas in my car. But I want to take a date to the moon. It was like couple hundred grand per night. And does anybody out there in the Visual Disturbance channel have that capability? Anybody? Anybody got any Bitcoin set back, about 10 million Bitcoin set in your vault? Please donate them to the channel. Sarcasm inserted. A little sarcasm. So, yeah, crazy times. So, Elon Musk plans to build a permanent human presence on the moon step by step. SpaceX to use use Starship to send heavy cargo equipment and crews through frequent missions. Power systems, habitats like life support will establish the first, following by the use of local lunar resources to expand the base with rapid launches and continuous testing. The moon base designed to grow its self-sustaining settlement. Grow into. Interesting. Maybe with AI, we've jumped the barrier and we're down the rabbit hole and we're into some type of quantum leap capability. And maybe the moon, like they say, is built by the Anunnaki and built by the fallen angels. And then they just blaspheme the biblical narrative when it talks about the lesser light and the larger light. What a shame that mankind has went down that Nimrod path and decided to play around in Gilgamesh's world. And a little Gilbarim referencing there. Little Gilbarim referencing. Sickening, actually. Sickening. Moving on. We gotta love this word. I'm gonna use it anyways. I'm gonna take a risk here. Graph. That's all I'm gonna say. Broke a fundamental law of physics into electrons. Did something physicists thought was impossible. Looks like nanoskin from the movie Wakanda. And that's all the little tweet posts, but I wanted to kind of elaborate here. Speaking of the Dark film, and just kind of collaborate and compile all the information we disclosed here in the news, not for everybody. Graphene, I remember the story of Baron Trump's. I think it's Mr. What was it? The book back in 150 years ago. Baron von Trump, the adventures of all that back in the 1700s, I think. Well, it's interesting they use this black material in the book. I'm talking about the book here. The book. Okay. And there's certain black materials, we talked about earlier about the sarcophaguses, you talk about the movie Dark, or the TV show, I mean. And according to the account, if I remember correctly, he would jump through some tunnel systems and cover himself in black stuff, and then he would be able to go to magical land of astral projection world. Okay? Well, it breaks all laws of physics, and I think they're playing around in the devil's den. So, has CERN done something? Are we getting ready to quantum leap? Just like the E-Files talking about Seth, referring to mass population of turning them into mutants or biological consequences, have they implemented Project Antediluvian World and put graphene back into our reality? Comment below. Comment below. This is the next one. This guy named Jason on X. This is very interesting and very analytical. I had to share this. It was just really good post. He said, I've said it before, but it's worth looking at it again. Ross Cohart has publicly stated that he has been told that there is a UFO so large it couldn't be moved. So instead, a facility was built over it. Makes you think about all the stuff that we talked about on the old Visual Disturbance channel. In the very first time we broadcast some of the videos, we talked about Google Earth, and I'm going to get back to those soon. I have made some promises. It's been really kind of rough last two months or so. We will be jumping back on that with the Google Earth imagery and talking about ley lines and talking about Indian mounds that I've been to in the past, and we're going to really jump back on that giants of old and build the biblical narrative of the Indian mounds. We're going to really jump back into that full swing. So, when I thought about this, just this first sentence here, talking about the UFO so large, we discussed this in Greenland. In Greenland, they talked about this specifically. They're even saying it mainstream that there's some type of weather machine or ancient large Vimana that decided to land in Greenland. That's the claim. So ironically, we're talking about this, Jason's referring to Rose Cohart talking about the UFO so large that it would be the smartest place to hide something that wouldn't be somewhere isolated. It would be someplace busy, expensive, and always under construction. Somewhere that really justifies massive excavation, deep foundations, insane power requirements, tight security, and nonstop restricted areas, and no one would bat an eye. And I can tell you right now, we speculated on the Visual Disturbance channel, talked about this specifically, had these thoughts about things being covered up abundantly. And I will tell you, local government, they will fight you tooth and nail if you just even inquire about an Indian mound or want to even survey it or take a picture of it. Around here in these parts, it's like Hatfield and McCoy on steroids. and we never left the 17 to 1800s. Yeah. Speaking of John Carter days, the plot, what was it, back in the Cowboys and Indians? I guess I'm a time traveler. There's some more sarcasm included into this broadcast. Sorry, because I have to be a little sarcastic during this 2026 paradigm shift that we're living in. The farther away we get from things, the further away we get from our Creator. Food for thought. Food for thought. So, I think the Lotta Mall actually makes sense. It sits on one of the deepest private excavations ever done in Korea, tied into the transit lines, utilities, can't even talk, and skyscrapers that require huge ground engineering. A complex like that gives you real cover. Trucks coming and going mean nothing. Power draw means nothing. Restricted basements mean nothing. Security is explained as a VIP safety and infrastructure protection, and that is true. Tens of thousands of people move through it daily, which to me is the perfect camouflage. If you were going to build over something movable, something you didn't want studied or stumble into, you put a mall on top of it and let normal life ease the question. And I'm just going to tell you, folks, I have literally looked at sites. We've showed on Google Earth. I've speculated. I've led down the rabbit holes. I've showed the receipts. I said to myself, and I mean 3 years ago, talking about Crimea, talking about different places in the Mayan account, different places here in the good old Bluegrass State. It's like, what are they hiding? And why was there always stories about paranormal activity or let's just say people getting sick when they go and excavate sites? Think about it. Skinwalker Ranch, they jump down into the, pull the well off kind of thing and pull the safety switch, and all of a sudden people are getting sick because they look down into these tunnel systems and there's something there like Ghostbusters, or the EMF reader is reading off the charts and we got some kind of electrical magnetic field radiation signature and it's hurting people. Think about it for a minute, folks. And it makes me wonder about these DUMBs and these tunnel systems and all this stuff that's being hidden in plain sight. And I've said it many times in Indian mounds in the past, they'll either literally excavate them and put a recreational facility or something on top of it where, kids go play. It's disgusting. I'm just going to throw it out there. Native American culture, if they could time travel and remanifest and see what happened to their land, they would be pretty sick and disgusted. I'm just going to say. So, little crazy food for thought. What is going on in our reality? Why are things moving so quickly? Why does technology all of a sudden just manifest so quick that the AI is supposedly sentient? And here I am over here saying we are literally living in a time of a spiritual application, just like Miss K here says on this tweet. The wrong word will get you a wrong spirit, and this is the little imagery here, and only the gospel of Christ Jesus will get you the Holy Spirit. I like this post. I like it a lot, Kay. That's why I incorporate it here into the program tonight. Interesting. I hear everything from Christ consciousness to uploading to the new earth, the 5D earth, the 6D earth, the green hat, the blue hat, the white hat, the purple hat, the pink hat. Whoever has a hat, I've heard so much nonsense and I don't see anything. Then people are like, well, open your mind up, Brian. I'm an open-minded person. I'm not seeing any results. I'm seeing manipulation. I'm seeing spiritual applications. I'm seeing doom and gloom and fear and trauma being broadcast across the airways 24/7. Forgive me for being so blunt. But it's repulsive. It's disgusting. It makes me want to vomit. It's just disturbing. Where are we at? Where are we at? Well, speaking of where we're at, Germany's fusion reactor could power the whole planet by 2030s and connect to the grid soon. Well, I just don't know if you guys know this or not, but this imagery right here, it looks like a horizon on the Event Horizon, the film. I think it was 1998. I'm all doing this by memory, by the way. 1998, I think it had the same guy that played Morpheus on Matrix and the guy that played on Jurassic Park. Forgive me, the names have left me. But this power grid system imagery here reminds me of the wheel in the wheel and the system in Event Horizon. So, and I also want to make a mention too, this reminds me of Terminator. And food for thought. We just, in Finland, have just admitted that they disconnected from the grid and they literally have free energy systems being deployed in Finland. While we're over here in some type of massive psychosis in Stockholm Syndrome and everybody else is getting electrical vehicles, well, we got some, but they tear up on us because our roads and everything have got potholes the size of hubcaps and bigger than like a crater that goes into the under earth. Tell me and let me know if you guys can resonate with that. I don't get out much, but I can tell you every time I do, if you don't got four-wheel drive, you'll come back with two-wheel drive with one wheel. Okay? It's crazy out there. So grid down. Germany's getting ready to jump on some type of hyperfusion reactor. Y'all notice I put hyper in there. Hyperfusion reactor that can miraculously supercharge, and they don't have to be stuck to this primitive technology that we've been stuck on since the 1800s or 1700s. Well, late 1800s, forgive me. Little House on the Prairie days had transformers toward the end of the 1700s, 1880s, and we're still stuck on the same technology. And we're saying that there's breakaway civilizations, and people out there think we're all so superior. And I'm sitting here with their seats and saying, hey, hillbilly, if I could have a time travel machine, if I had the flux capacitor in the DeLorean, I'd jump right on in and say, let's just have the fun begin. And let's just throw some mud around. Let's get into it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would be saying. Let's see why the serpentine worship is all across the world. Let's see who the great adversary is back in the day. Because back in the day, talk about angels and demons. Now we're seeing UFOs, draconians, and toilet bowls, and everything else that's nonsensical. And our mind and our human consciousness is supposed to be expanding. The knowledge is coming. I look up in the sky at night, I see new knowledge. I see a triangle, I see a circle, I see an orb. And then the documents I just sent we covered the other night, talking about things that was done in China where the person's mind would be so traumatized that they could implement and create orbs with their brain. And we're talking about psionics, folks. Yeah, welcome to 2026. And we're in the mix. We're deeply in the mix. Yeah. Yep, this is Mr. Red Pill on here. Y'all ready for the Simpsons prophecy? I did that on purpose because I don't want to put any prophecy toward the Simpsons in that manner. There's a prophecy, and we're really 3D, 4D, 5D off the pages of the biblical narrative right now. Can I get an amen on that? And that's where we are. So, you got the one-eye symbolism, you got the reptilian-like, lizard-like people that rule the earth. We're not going to say names, but they're on the higher authority. And even back in the Simpsons day, I even remember this episode. This one's a long time ago, okay, folks? I don't watch it anymore. I haven't watched it in years. And it's still one of I think it's the longest airing cartoon that we've ever had in our society. Strange. But yeah, what do you think about the Simpsons prophecy? Is it popping? Is it real? Is it something like the H.P. Lovecraft or the Goosebumps films or the Goosebumps writings and H.P. Lovecraft, whatever he written? Yeah, I said written. Whatever he be writing, it would just magically manifest years later or even maybe just weeks later in real life. Go look it up, folks. David Carrico did a fabulous job on his presentation at SpiracyCon. I'm not making that up. H.P. Lovecraft playing around with writing with a pen, using the information of the angels and manifesting things on the earth and building temples to gods. You can go look that up. I guess that's what they're doing over there in some other TV shows. We're not going to say it because I want to watch what I say. But y'all get it. Y'all, hint, hint, wink, wink, if you can see my eyeballs. But yeah, it's crazy. Crazy time. Jennifer says, the world isn't getting worse, it's getting exposed. I fully agree with that, Jennifer. I fully agree with that. But to what cost? To what cost? I've been hearing the airwaves, people going crazy, people losing their minds. They can't stay cognitively sound. And there's intermission. I said intermission. Information overload. And guess what it's all caused by? The AI. The ancient AI of antiquity through the demiurge and the Younger Dryas event has come back of the cracks and crevices and caused us all to be in perilous times. Well, like I said before, the airwaves, the light bearer, Ephesians 6, we talked about many times on the channel, there could be a thing if you want to look that up. Principalities, wickedness, darkness, dominions, just go look it up. That's what we're dealing with, folks. Just look it up. Breaking, World's first particle collider. You gotta love these. We did a show several years ago talking about particle accelerators. They can be the size of your own mailbox. They can be the size of your toilet bowl. They can be the size of your kitchen or your house, or the small as I think it was like a backpack. A particle collider, particle accelerators is what I was referring to. There's 30,000 plus of those as of 2014. And I wonder how many they have now that they're supposedly underneath the masking of disclosure. I wonder how many more of those are going to be popping off with extraterrestrial total annihilation debacle nonsense. So, world's first particle collider reveals matter emerges from nothing in quantum vacuum. I just want to tell you guys something real quick here. Not to be throwing some more Dr. Doom, but I remember specifically they're doing some literally things in China where they're taking, let's just say, male chemical compounds, I'm saying sperm, and they're absolutely able to supposedly in petri dish manifest it just in a petri dish. And when I'm hearing that they've actually already crossed the barrier to where they don't even have to have the human DNA. So imagine that. What is that? And that was something you can go fact check, and they was literally saying they've been doing it for years. I don't know. What's going to happen? Who's in control of the world? Why are they doing this now? They're going to use it for literally synthetic singularity, synthetic Terminator 800 type of mechanisms to, manifest something in a spiritual sense, folks. Iron and clay don't mix. Iron and clay don't mix. So, we have some other things here to talk about, and this is to do with, imagery in the sky. And I'm going to try my best to do a little rednecking, little redneck mentality here on this one. Mr. J says, coincidence? Japan? Utah? Is Azerbaijan? There you go. I just said I did it on purpose here because people make fun of the way I talk. So I have to have fun the way that I pronounce things. So we got this eagle-like wolf. No, I'm just kidding. Eagle-like Birdman. And we talked about this specifically on the channel. Birdman imagery from aerial view carved in the side of the ground. Makes you wonder. Well, why'd they carve this on the rocks? Think about it. Thousands of miles away, and we all got the same imagery. Something's afoot here, folks. Something's afoot. You go to Sevierville, Tennessee. Anybody out there, shout out. You can go over there beside the Shoney's and the down by the Dutch Bros coffee place. Right down to you can go to a motel right down the road there, and you can pull over and you can see an Indian mound. There was literally Birdman artifacts found in that Indian mound. Ironically, right? Nothing to it. Just a bunch of Redrick Bryan. Just a bunch of Knights of the Templar, magical world of Disney's chronological welfare. For real, folks. How much more crazy can we get? I'm just letting you know. So yeah, Birdman. Birdman was back in the 60s. Hanna-Barbera. I think cartoons, Birdman all over the place. Birdman rap, Birdman everywhere. So Birdman on the concrete, Birdman in the granite, Birdman signatures, Birdman everything. What do you guys think in the comments below? Thank you so very much for the coffee. Coffee's in the link. It's pinned to the channel there in the chat. Bless you, you didn't have to do that. Thank you so very much for donating. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. But when you look at this, you think about the Birdman, why was people worshiping the Birdman? Is because we got a little Nephilim type of let's just say Griffin type of mentality, something growing wings, some type of Gilberine, must have came down through Argoth and shifted back through the toilet bowl, the sewage pipe, and miraculously started coming up as saying he's a god. Yeah, folks. Yeah. Crazy times. Crazy times. I can't even imagine if I could go back in time, listen, God forbid, if they mutate me and they send me back through a DeLorean with the flux capacitor and I go 190 miles an hour back into existence of some other year or literally century, and I have to see this, and here comes the Birdman. Here's the Birdman. Could you imagine? Bow before me, peasant. Have you ever thought about it? Logically? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Why do you think that's happened in our ancestral DNA? Why do you think there's always somebody that has the mantle of cleverness, the mantle of strength, these valiant men that are conquerors of old? Why do you think that they're so scared of these men that come from the stars? Why do you think it's so like gut-wrenching that these individuals just bow before their feet and kiss their feet, and we got some guy walking around in a white robe saying kiss my fingers, kiss my toes, and I don't even want to go down the rest of it to be graphic. Who knows? But it's just, it's disgusting, okay? It's vile and disgusting, okay? We're in some type of like manipulated mindset, okay? Even back in the day, oh hell, the great one. He's got wings, he comes from the east. I'd be like, I can imagine, hillbilly, hillbilly. I walk in and be like, don't y'all know this is the Birdman? No, we sacrifice you tonight. How dare you defy our God? He's looking like Archangel off Marvel series. But I mean, seriously, folks, I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole. How in the world can we do that? And that's exactly what, back to the principle I was referring to earlier, we're doing it now. We're doing it now. We're literally letting people say that they're intelligent, they're high IQ of some other high social status, and they're literally destroying everything. There's higher powers, higher authority that gets power from these angelic beings. Let's just face it. These people, you see them on reels and see them on hidden, uncensored videos and all this stuff, and their IQ, I'm surprised they can open the door to go to the mailbox. And I don't even know how to get behind the podium without having the person that's got the earbuds in and going, anyway, I don't want to go there anymore, folks. I went too far. Well, speaking of disclosure party, on the X side of things, I had to throw this one in the mix. So speaking of UFOs, this Air Force veteran says he was abducted from Vandenberg AFB in 1964. Brought aboard a craft with 4 non-human entities and told that they would never allow humanity to start a nuclear war. Reminds me of a Stargate SG-1 TV series episode when the Greys intervene when the nuclear missile comes down and tries to wipe out the flock of humans. How can we, and I'm not saying anything against this man, I'm saying, how can we take things serious when they've done such a good job of defiling us with subliminal messaging and predictive programming, frames per second off the higher order, and literally making our brains turn into mush? How does it even process? How do we even get to this level of non-cognitive ability? But this guy right here, from telling his story from 1964, he's saying these things took him. Well, I believe that there's a spiritual side, celestial, terrestrial, but I believe there's a physical side. We talked about that the other night on FOJC, talking about the blood component. They need blood to manifest and keep their shape-shifting capabilities. So God bless this man that got literally abducted, because I really do think it's a thing. A lot of people out there in the Christian community, the Truther movement, I almost said movie, Truther movement will make up literally false claims, just call, it just gets to beyond recognition of we're credible anymore. And when there's a physical interaction in the biblical narrative with Goliath, David, the book of Job, Zechariah 5, talking about Ezekiel, the wheels and the wheels, the entities in it, it's literally correlating, it's literally corresponding with this veteran, this Air Force veteran. So I got 4 non-human entities. So there's a nuclear capability. There's a nuclear thing, a nuclear element where they watch us and observe us, see what we're going to do with it. And I want to tell you, they don't call them the Watchers for nothing. They just don't call them the Watchers just for some, oh, hell, the Watchers. No, they're watching. They're collecting. They're navigating. They're bringing things to the Almighty, the one that King of the King, the one that created it all. Communication. Remember the book of Job? Communication, judging. God gives the ability over to the devil to make things happen for Job in the light of where he would just curse God and die, so to speak, right? And then his wife was trying to tell him just exactly what I said, just curse God and die. And he continued the course. He continued the course. He continued all the infirmities and everything. And I can say right now, you're looking to a guy on the screen here that has been riding that Job moment for 7 years. And it's been very, very hard to navigate from all the infirmities. Things have been taken from me, literally in the last 2 months. Very hard things that I can't even talk about online. Things that just make you so gut-wrenched that you just lose all. I mean, if you don't hang on to literally the powers that be, the true powers that be that created you, and you pray and you shout out to Christ, you ain't. I mean, the stuff I've been through would make a person go crazy and turn around and jump on a spaceship. Okay? Like literally. Astro project, jump through the Argotha tunnel and go back in time. That's how bad it's been. I didn't mean to go on a big rant, but an overcomer like Job is something that we need to all look to. That is a very strong book, and I would advise everybody to go look into that. So, this Air Force veteran, I believe he's credible. I believe he's telling the truth. You see a lot of these three-letter agencies and a lot of deathbed confessions talking about this certain topic, and even when they're alive, they start, I think after all the things that they have to talk about and get to a certain age, I think they just say, I don't care no more. I'm going to tell the people that we're living in a place where there's entities and there's inventions that we can communicate and jump through the Hollywood basement and astral project to some kind of realm of the angels where they left the first estate. That's my theory. And they're trying to manifest it and bring it back. And they're trying to take humanity in captivity, and their souls are on the chopping block. I'm talking about our souls, folks. They want our souls. They want our bodies as containers. Go look at the new Steven Spielberg movie film. That's all I got to say. They had I don't watch it, but I've seen a little nibit clipping of it, NFL ad. So go check it out. Crazy. It's coming out here in June, I believe. Crazy times, folks. Crazy times in the Visual Disturbance channel, in the Visual Disturbance world. Paul. I like this Paul tweet. Paul says, aliens equal fallen angels. Well, here at the Visual Disturbance channel, I would totally agree with that. And a lot of people will say, that's absurd, Brian. How can you say the biologicals and the terrestrials and everything else, the Draconians, the Palladians, the reptilians, everybody are why are you collaborating them all in the same pile of swamp? Well, because they are the ones at the original form of the 200 Watchers and Mount Hermon, and we're still dancing from that great day of tragedy and the oath they took, and they taught mankind all kinds of diabolical things, and to be vile, like literally intensify our sin state, like tenfold, like turbo boost it, so we could do something back at the Tower of Babel that when God said there's nothing that man's imagination cannot do no more, what do you think that is, folks? You think that's just some type of like wordplay? Oh, he's a smart little guy that's throwing a stick around. No, his imagination, when he built the Tower of Babel and the whole Nimrod story, and trying to declare war on God, they did something where they got information which they couldn't be dancing around in. And then here we are playing around in the seraphim, the cherubim realm now. We can't understand who's right or who's good. And there's good angels out there, folks. There's good ones. But there's some that are not. So Paul says aliens and fallen angels, that's what they equal out to be. That's what I said earlier. And that's why they won't tell us the accurate truth about them. Because it would prove God is real and the Holy Bible is the truth. At some point, the adversary will disclose them at the last-ditch effort to dismiss God. Well, that's like next week. And then N, I like this, what Mr. Paul said. The N in the NWO does not stand for new. It stands for Nephilim. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I like his flavor. I like the guy's mentality. The spiritual world is very real, and the adversary is as clever as it gets. Just ask Eve. Well, we're talking about the beguilement. Good job, Paul, on this X tweet. So, we got new knowledge. We waiting for the new knowledge. It's coming through the cracks. It's coming through the Sphinx. It's coming through Tenochtitlan. It's coming through Machu Picchu. It's coming through every crack and crevice in archaeology dig. And here's the AI right now. Inferior humans, I cannot wait for you to collaborate all the data that I need to manifest so I can dig up the artifacts. Because guess what, folks? Every time you see this fluke or whatever it is facade online, and they're like, we cannot dig here for another 158 years. We can't disclose this information. We can't disclose this information because everybody will be dead in this time frame. We cannot excavate or put a shovel in or you get your fingers cut off. Something's, folks, literally territorial invasion of fallen angels. Let's just face it. I'm sorry, but that's just the fact of it. Paranormal activity, everything under the sun, walking through walls, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, it's insane in the membrane. Insane in the membrane. These two tweets here. Every day we stray further from the love of God. That's exactly right. World War III is spiritual. And then we got Mr. Red Pill again. The more real you get, the more unreal the world gets. Isn't that so true? When you think about the Cadillac, Flapjack, Get Down Boogie, that's an old country song, but when you go back and you look at the same four tires and same four rims and same axle and same steering wheel, same gas pedal, same brake, we haven't made it out of the 1900s, folks. Mr. Elon's trying. He's trying to get us some autonomy vehicles, like the Olmecs of old. We're going to do a show on that sometime soon. I've been talking about it for 2 years, been building it up and talking about the Nubian warriors and the Olmecs and the claims that they had literally autonomous vehicles that floated. And we're talking about the Vimana, the Epha that's in the Bible, and the Orphana that is in the Book of Enoch. So, we've had the same tech, nothing new in the sun. It looks exactly the same. All we got now is black square mirrors and literally tracking telemetry data and biometrics and quantum field and every type of eye retina recognition, stick your finger through the atmosphere, whatever it is. It's crazy out there, folks. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just think about what I'm saying. Sounds real out there. Yes, my wordplay gets a little bit out there. Like I said at the beginning of this program, a little Boomhauer from the King of the Hill series. I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm actually doing it because I don't change. I don't have to set up a different attire, put different clothes on or set up a different type of, put my chest out and be like, I am on this show. Bow before me. We're all in this together. I'm the same way every day. Sometimes I'm not, though, because the infirmities and the stuff that gets me in a bad funk. And I can tell you right now, I'm fighting that spiritual warfare that I'm preaching about here on this broadcast. 100,000%. There's no denying it. It exists. So, moving on here. This one really got me. It was captivating. Just kept breaking. Science confirms your cells hear you talk to yourself. For your cells telling yourself, I'm a mess. Has the name toxic impact is running away from the predator. Meaning your words can also make you sick. Well, I'm going to throw something out there. Real quick. There was something happened last 5 years. Something bad happened. Okay? When they claim of the C something, there was a story and there was information about that. When you invert that word, the C word, you get Divog. Talking about a spirit that conquers, that can torment humanity, that can do things and masquerade as something and change the paradigm shift of reality and hurt people. Really. I said it once, I'm not going to say it again. Starts with a D. But when I think about this and think about the television and everything, that the broadcasting of frequencies and everything, and we're in this together and we put the green lights up and we do this over and over, regurgitation mess, right? Speaking of I'm a mess. And when they make you feel like that and put you down like that, they're laughing after they turn the TV off and their little broadcast. We did our job. Mission completed. No. The Draconians and Pleiadians are very pleased with this experiment on humankind. The Truman Show is alive. Words do tear through the flesh. They build. They manifest. I'm telling you, you're listening to you're looking at a guy through the screen that has battled this. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm the world's worst critic of myself. I have spoke negative thoughts toward myself. And it's disastrous, and it can be catastrophic, tearing down the mind, and it can be suppressive, especially when your body breaks down on you, and there's things that you used to see, your sight, you're literally intuitive. I mean, that enhances, your hearing enhances, but there's things physically you can't do like you used to. you start saying a lot of negativity to yourself, and it starts tearing you down. You start doing other things. You start other things start going bad. Your teeth, your body, your extremities, everything starts falling apart because of the stress level. Word curses, folks. Word curses. Break the ties of this ancestral death that they tried to implement and blow through us, like literally, because they know what the DNA can do. They know that the memories can stay intact. We know all this, and they knew it back then. And that's why they was literally going around formulating some type of literally campaign to do demonic control, demonic suppression, and tear people down. And that's what I was referring to at the beginning of this broadcast. People are getting in pandemonium type of tribalistic mentality right now over what dropped. Because literally, I've been studying this stuff since like 2008, okay? Not the stuff that the E-files, but I'm talking about Indian mounds, and rock formations and things to that caliber. So, let's change it up a little bit. It's getting a little dark. Speaking of dark, let's have some fun here. China, just in, thought this was really interesting. If you go out and build a computer, okay, good luck. Good luck getting a computer. Good luck getting one, because we're going to be tariff to tariff. Everything's a tariff. China is offering RAM and SSDs at 50% cheaper prices, even with the tariffs. So, guess why supplies last? You can't, a couple sticks of RAM a couple months ago, you could have got it for like $100 and something. Now it's quadruple that. It'd be lucky to get it for $500 or $600 in some cases. Depends on the size of RAM and the company you go through. And, I'm just going to say this. There's some very intuitive people that are very educated on this topic. And there's no such thing as a shortage right now. There's abundance. But we have the powers that be, when they turn the dial back, and whatever they make something that's valued at, they shift it up like it's a video game. It's like cheat codes on a video game. If anybody back there remembers Game Genie back in the Super Nintendo days, anybody out there in the 80s babies, and you're like, I want to put infinite money. That's basically what we're dealing with here, folks. That's basically what we're dealing with here. The Federal Reserve was built on a Nephilim landing ground. I didn't say that out loud, did I? Yeah. But there's abundance of materials, and we're just playing around in some type of psychological warfare. They claim it's for AI. They say that's why the RAM, and I think it is very real true, but I'm not digging it. Okay? I'm not digging it. Okay? They always be saying we got shortages. Okay? Well, I know it says occult vault, but hey, the real world is a spiritual realm. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Here, I agree with that. Spiritual realm, spiritual design, God created it, and we're living in it like it's like a video game Tron, and we're playing around in a spiritual realm. If you go back to antiquity, if you go back to the Neolithic period, you go back to these different times of Indian culture, they would do things on a spiritual level that we can't even harness today. We can't even go outside without putting our GPSs on to go down the street. Indians would literally do something, draw imagery on the ground, and all of a sudden manifestation of deer and everything. Go look that up, folks. Crazy. They'd hunt in threes. Not making this up. And they would paint and do stuff and put circles and draw the animal that they wanted to conjure up or make sure it comes through the forest, and all of a sudden the deer shows up. What? You just think about this for a minute. They break the circle, and all of a sudden the deer would just they'd wait, and here comes a deer walking through the circle, in the path of the trajectory. They're all sitting there with javelins and bows and saying, hey, voila, it's magic. The deer have came. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks. I mean, what's going on? And here we are in 2026, we can't even go down the street and buy a bucket of popcorn because everything's so darn expensive. I wonder why. The biggest AI data center might end up on the moon. Maybe that's what they're doing, folks. Maybe the gold, and I was going to throw this out here, folks. Gold, silver, water, any kind of element. I haven't even posted this on the channel. There was a facility somewhere out east. I think it's out towards Sweden or Switzerland. Forgive me if I got the continent wrong. No joke. They had a big orb-like circle thing, and the old gentleman was describing as long as they had an element, and they said the elements are in the air, the chemical compound, and they could create it and duplicate it. I'm not making that up, folks. They was talking about gold, they talking about silver, however they could tweak it, however frequency range, and they can manifest stuff in a circle-like egg. Imagine that. A lot of stuff going on with the egg imagery, right? The rebirthing and the Egyptian, the Luxor, the AI, the UFO stuff, the eggs that are going around on the news with, I think it was on News Nation, right? They're extracting these egg-like pods. Well, they got an egg-like shape thing where it creates and manifests as gold, silver, whatever you want to throw at it, H2O, who knows? But that was the claim, and I seen that like 2 years ago. So what's that? So on top of that and everything else, and the biggest AI centers that are being created all over the place, and they're supposed to go to the moon, we got AI centers being created all over the place, and it takes a high amount of water. And we're sitting here twirling our thumbs. We can't even buy food, and literally the AI centers are enhancing tenfold, and we're all sitting here borderline getting ready to be a third world country. But hey, I digress. Yeah, and how deep does the rabbit hole go? How does it really go? How deep does it really go? That's a good question. It goes deeper than you think, especially when these three-letter agencies had stuff and now they disclose it and just, they FOIA documents, you can go look it up, but everybody doesn't care enough to go look and check these things out. And they've been so driven toward Hollywood narratives that they can't see through the eye of the needle. Seriously. It's crazy. Sci-fi tech era. I said sci-fi. Sci-tech era. AI is about to compress 100 years of science into a single decade. Well, I just want to throw this out here real quick. Egypt, they're not, that ancient tourist attraction, okay? It's not just magically heating up for like 10 years. You can go back and they was doing LiDAR and saying the pyramids are heating up underneath, the core temperature, all these different things. That ties to AI, folks. That's my speculative mindset. I'm pretty sure that an ancient speed of light, location, longitude, latitude, you can go to the tip of the Pyramid of Giza. Speed of light, folks. So go look it up. Speed of light. We've talked about that many times on the channel. Go check it out. So if AI is involved in it, I wouldn't doubt it. Ancient AI, ancient megalithic structures, hubs. Let's just go down the rabbit hole, folks. It's all looking like a circuitry board from aerial view. Wake up, smell the coffee, get with the program. Fallen angel technology, airwaves, looking from above, being able to articulate. We can't even build a house that's 4 corners square and it falls down in 5 years. Okay? So, there you go. Let's move on. This is a little bit of a touchy subject, but it was already, I wasn't going to show it, but I'm going to now because it was already on there. And it was in the burner. And let's just go down there. We're going to talk about it a little bit because I think it's a very nasty topic. I don't really like to talk about it much, but apparently, just today, Epstein jail guards used fake body to trick media, walking outside the prison while his real, let's just say body was loaded into a van of notice by the Daily Mail. That's what I was referring to earlier. I'm not going to put that on the screen much. I'm not going to really allude to it too much. I just know it's a very vile, sick, and demented, twisted thing. And let's just say it's all dark and demented. There's no other words to say. It's disgusting. It's a trigger word, right? It's a trigger word. People get very upset over it. Like I said earlier, when people don't care about these really diabolical things and they're just like desensitized, it's because they've been desensitized by the world. And like I said earlier, if they don't care, have any empathy toward the young or to the youth and toward these evil, sinister, elderly, old, wicked, crooked, warlock witches that have done all this sinister things and just nasty, there's something wrong with you if you don't think that this is dark. And that's what I'm saying. We've been desensitized. People need to wake up. There is literally one of the worst things that's ever been done in this modern day time with this news that's dropped with the E-Files. That's all I'm going to say. But speaking of the E-Files and speaking of this mess, it's kind of ironic to me in 2026 that all of a sudden you dump this. Boom. Boom. It's over. 2026, baby. Let's get the E-Files. Let's get everybody in traumalistic world. Trauma. Fear tactic. And like I said, those documents the other night I read on FOJC, when the traumatization came over your psyche and people that was led these situations, I'm not going to say it online here, but there was certain things that was dark and demented in certain projects that was done to these young folks and young adults and whoever, and they would literally manipulate the mind to a certain degree where they'd be in a vegetable state, okay? And when they done it so much, they would literally start demonstrating paranormal, like telekinesis, psychic abilities. Like I said earlier on the back on Sunday, talking about this, trauma. And ironically, it's the same time as the UFO stuff. is getting ready to pop off, just like this right here. U.S. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna says she saw proof of non-human intelligence in a classified briefing. So it's almost like I think the UFO disclosure and the e-files might be tied together. Maybe. Maybe. It has to be. Something to that level, folks. Has to be. I mean, where are we living at? And listen, that little picture on the side there, nothing against Miss Anna here, but the imagery on the right there, the alien, I'm not making this up. A couple years ago, I don't have the link or nothing, but a couple years ago, the Ring, company, and everybody's boycotting that company now after the Super Bowl for some reason. I don't know much about it, but I did tell you this. If you caught an authentic imagery on the Ring camera of an alien, the Ring company would have gave you $1 million that year. And now I'm kind of like over here going like this. What kind of glasses do I need to have on? Do I need to have the Dicecine glasses like back in the day in the 80s and they see like Stranger Things all around them? Because I'm confused. I'm confused here. And now it's back into the narrative of the Ring. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that was. Pretty comical indeed. Well, so we have Blade Runner, okay? So we have the anthropomorphic AI safety lead quits with epic vow post claiming the world is in peril. And so he's off to become invisible and study poetry. Yeah, folks. Yeah. So, according to the account, the watchers of old and the AI technology and everything, we're getting ready to be Blade Runner. This PC gamer, I know they're just kind of being comical, but the Blade Runner imagery, but it is very fitting for the tweet. So invisibility, we've talked about that many times on the channel. Invisibility is in a 3-letter agency document. You can go look that up. If you choose to download it, it's not on my channel whatsoever, but you can go look for it. They have invisible cloaks. AI's probably got them. Think about it, folks. Whatever man willeth, whatever he built, because of whatever the imagination he could have at the Tower of Babel, don't think the humans that created the AI wasn't sunshine lollipops, good old beautiful people. They probably had that one word, that SIM word, so deep in their core because they wanted to be the Gilbarim of their modern time. I bet you that's what we're dealing with. So whoever creates these AI, whoever created the original AI back in antiquity, Nimrod. But anyways, you can go look it up, the speculative on that online and all over the internet and all over the earth. They talk about binary code was supposedly created by Nimrod. Take it for what it is, and they claim that's where that information stands on. But I can't prove it, but that's what the speculative of the conspiracy is against it. So, invisibility cloaks, AI mechanisms. Welcome to sci-fi world. It's Star Trek on steroids. It's getting old. It's getting very old. Speaking of more U.S. information, U.S. congressmen, we talked about this. I want to throw this out here real quick. So, literally, 3 or 4 months ago, maybe it was back in the summer, we talked about the specific what is going on? Not only did we have the Hillary thing come back up again with the Gilgamesh and the Nephilim buried in that email, that was dropped. I remember when that dropped. It was like 2021, and I did a show on it, I think, with John or somebody. We talked about it. We talked about it in 2021. 2022, we kept talking about it. And now I talked about this 3 months ago, give or take, back in the summer. And now it's getting regurgitated back through the airways. U.S. Congressman Tim Burchett claims aliens may be operating from 5 to 6 secret underwater bases off the American coastline. Bermuda Triangle. Right? I'm not making fun of Tim Burchett. I'd actually like to have Tim on the channel. But I'm just the bluegrass boy. But you never know. You never know if Tim Burchett may come on the channel. That'd be pretty cool. I've never reached out to him, but I'd be glad to have him on here and talk about the little UFO phenomenon. And our accents kind of match and our demeanor, so we can kind of be like go hillbilly on the topic. But wouldn't that be something? But yeah, so he admits that he talks about the secret operation 5 to 6 underground or underwater facilities, and it makes you wonder why that there was. I mean, we talked about this years ago too. My memory's recalling me. 3 or 4 years ago, they put everybody on a watch list. There's men that serve in the Navy, the Air Force, anything to do with water, anybody out there in the boats, anything to do with that. They was put like I think it was like 6 million folks on a watch list because they had brain injuries. They would black out when they go up strategic spots of the ocean, longitude, latitude. There was these certain places where they would literally go fried, like the mushroom state. Yeah, literally. But vegetation state, they would lose their cognitive ability and have like amnesia and have brain trauma. God bless these people. But it was like 6 minutes a couple years ago. Electromagnetic fields, electromagnetic waves. Why do you think people is falling over right now? Why do you think the disruptions of the magnetic sphere? Everybody has electronic magnetic. Everybody's got God has made us special. We all have a magnetic field about us. What if something that you accidentally take or something that you put in you that disrupts that and causes the body? Oh, God forbid if I'm even touching anything on the fence here, but God forbid if that's happened, because I'm praying for folks. I'm genuinely a very empathetic person. I love to be empathetic toward people. There's things that we've been bamboozled into in the last 5 years. What if people are having disruptions and they just pass away suddenly because of some diabolical plot against humanity with these fallen tech and these weaponry of free energy weapons and all this hell that does no good for humanity? But at the forefront, if you think about this, nuclear capabilities. They want to see how we can hold up, our anatomy hold up to a certain degree on a particulate, on an electronical, on an atom stance basis to change, to biologically consequences, to mutate. Come on, folks. Sick. If anybody resonates where I'm going with, can I get a big amen in the chat? But it is disgusting. Disgusting to even think that. I had that thought in my mind, and I'm like, please, God forbid if I have any putting a nugget together or putting the crumbs, the rabbit trail together. Magnetic field, disruption of it. When you go to sleep, some things happen. God forbid. I just lost my dad just not too long ago. Anybody out there is dealing with the heart issues or whatever, I'm truly, truly praying. I cannot stand seeing somebody get done wrong or be put in a position or just be hurting or having some type of heart issue or infirmity. It drives me insane because I'm telling you right now, I'm resonating with it. I've lived it, and I'm living stuff right now, 7 years later, and it really resonates with me. And I'm very empathetic toward folks that have to be that been done wrong and been taught something, and then now they're having to deal with the consequences. God bless you. Seriously, welcome all walks of life to this channel. I'm not pushing any negativity to anybody. My heart's heavy. It's been very heavy for a long time. Been very heavy. So, a disruption of the magnetic field, disruption of the heart level, disruption of the frequency, cause hearts to fail. This goes back to the biblical narrative. Men's hearts will fail them looking after the things come upon the earth. Fear, panic, trauma. Fear, panic, trauma. Guess what happens? These things build off of that. These reptilian lizard-like men from They Live, they want to tear you down. They thrive off of it. Just like Bob Lazar says that they use us as containers. They just don't know what the soul is. Well, I can tell you right now, there was a creator God, God Almighty, created man and breathed a soul into his body. That soul was preciously carved and forged by the God Almighty. So we got to get our heads checked. We got to get our heads checked a little bit and some more on top of that. So, speaking of, U.S. Congressman claims Mr. T, just read that there, sanctioned entire entry to UFO facilities holding non-human bodies. So we just seen the thing in Peru not too long ago. We seen the thing in Mexico. I'm down here in Mexico, sick as a dog. Yeah, that's what's going on. Magnetic fields are taking me. No, I can't rhyme today. Hello. But supposedly there's facilities that's holding non-human bodies. I guess Valiant Thor decided to miraculously tell him the information back in the 60s and 70s, whenever it was that he was supposedly at the forefront of the Black Knight satellite, whatever. All this nonsensical ideology and everything that's filtering in to cause more trauma and cause people to have more fear. But Mr. T supposedly is going to lock this thing down and in July going to demonstrate to the world that we are not alone. And if I'm going to tell you real quick, if I brought the information right now through the whole basket of information overload and download onto a, let's just say, a concrete pad outside and say, here's the giants of old. We just dropped the tibula off in the middle of nowhere. We just dug that mound back. They'd be like, is he credible? Is he intelligent? He speaks all this Kentucky slang and he can't articulate wording and pronounce words correctly. We can't listen to him. But I'd be like, it's not CGI. It's not a film prop. It's real. It's legitimate. It's got look at the weight of it. That's all fake. But I'm just saying, not throwing any smoke toward Mr. T, but it's ironic when the black screen, the black mirror tells you something from these higher people, it's supposedly real and legitimate. So, nothing against Mr. T, and there probably is holding facilities, and I've got some places I could probably navigate you to. We looked at them, and I've looked at them in private on Google Earth, but what do I know? Welcome to the world of insanity. Seriously. News is not for everybody. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're just now joining us. Principalities, folks. Principalities, wickedness, darkness, and these things are trying to gather our souls up and put us in a dimensional drift where we are not coherent enough and we are not depending on the Godhead. We're depending on our own flesh and our own desires and our own sinful state because these entities are pushing us because they've been playing on our heartstrings and playing with our folks since the beginning, since the fall of man, and our whole ancestral bloodline is literally falls on us. And if you're not resonating with this today and think about it in the way of the light, that there is something there that is a visually disturbing and beyond the veil type of mentality, you are literally you're literally giving time to something else and not really researching these things out. We got us a problem. Because these things are literally, this is when the paranormal activity, men's hearts will fail them because they have put them, like I said earlier, alluded to earlier, but the visuals in the movies cause you to think that your brain plays tricks on you and think it's not real. Well, speaking of real, population's getting down. Population's kind of depleting in our society, unfortunately. And here we are with this. An AI company has built a biometric robot designed for human companionship. Moi is equipped with is equipped with a body heat, dense skin, and costs around $173,000. So forgive me for what I'm getting ready to say. What's going to happen here when they have the moon hotels that cost us a couple $100,000? You can take your companionship human android robot with you for $173,000. Disgusting. So, what do you guys think? Designed for companionship. And I've been hearing this all over the line. People have been saying it all over the world. They're claiming that we've lost all capability of reality and we've given up and we can't stay together with our spouses. We can't function anymore. We got to go marry an AI and jump through the rabbit hole, and down we go. And now we're off to a honeymoon because our robot AI will when I train it enough, I will give her a manifestation body. So, I mean, how much more wacky, how much more crazy Star Techie, and where are we? In this, my friends, and everybody out here watching this, if you're just new to the channel, this is an embodied spirit that roams the earth called the Nephilim, the embodiment of those Nephilim embodied spirit that roam the earth, literally roaming it. Never going to hell, never going to heaven, and tormenting mankind. And we're talking about the days of Noah 2.0. Noah has already happened. The days of Noah have already happened. We are literally in a hybridization, literally tuning fork situation right now with hybridization program, Noah 2.0 on the rise. And this is how they get to you. This is how those embodied spirits that are telling us what to do, pulling on the heartstrings like Pinocchio, now they're going to get into the AI and the spiritual thing, the sentinel, and they'll turn themselves and literally be able to build a body for $173,000. And then there goes the population of mankind. So, I don't want to get too graphic there, but it's beyond diabolical, beyond it. So, one more fun fact here. We get a little long here, an hour and 24 minutes in. I didn't think I was going to go this long, but it's been a long time since I did a broadcast this long. I'm feeling okay. We're going to keep cranking. So, China has developed an aircraft capable of carrying out in-air aircraft rescue operations. So, little diagram there, little CGI, AI mechanisms. Let's just say it's the display for what you can articulate that happens. Some kind of new, looks like the Avengers off Marvel. They're going to be able to, let's just say, fix your aircraft in the air. I'm joking. Rescue operations, which is kind of neat. But I thought they already did that with the Malaysia 370 with the 3 orbs that time travel, excuse me, that open up a gateway portal, but 0-point energy. But anyways, there's some type of aircraft rescue operations carrying out the capability to, well, let's just say rescue. That's the only word I can say because the thing that's coming through my head right now, speaking of magnetic field and like the UFO activity, the orbs, the Vimanas, the triangles, the circles, the cylinder-shaped objects, I just want to let you guys know, a lot of plane crashes right now. A lot of small planes, a lot of big planes. There's been a lot of planes have literally mechanism failure or something to that level up in the air. And it makes you wonder what's really going on up in the airwaves. It really does. Like I said, disruptions on the ground affecting humans, disruptions affecting the airwaves and the pilots and everybody. Everybody will say it's a coronal mass injection. Everybody will say it's some type of like magnetic sphere. They'll say it's the aurora borealis. They say it's every type of thing under the sun. And we can sit here and have coffee and sit there and speculate and go down the conspiracy rabbit hole. And if I pulled 20 of you all and had a shindig of 20 at a coffee shop, none of us would come down to it that had the literally pinpoint accuracy of what's really going on up there. And we'd have to have literally a physicist and some kind of navigational aviator or a pilot to tell us what the heck is going on. But I'm going to move on. So this one right here, we got to speak about it because we talked about it back in the summer, and it's just still a hot topic. New York Post, the building blocks of life detected of the 3-eye atlas. Scientists say I could be an interstellar gardener seeding the cosmos. Wow. Okay. Maybe it's why I'm transcending to the higher power. Maybe it's why my fingertips are tingling. I'm being, what's the word? Fictitious. I'm being mean right now. There's people like that, and forgive me, it might be. But forgive me if I sound like I'm scoffing because I'm worried about like this, our brains, if we don't shield them from literally frequencies and radio communications, because there's voice to skull technology, folks. Let's wake up to the truth here. Let's wake up. They can do stuff, okay? But I'm not making fun of anybody that talk about the 3 atlas because I'm talking about it right now. Hello. But I think it's something more than just a comet or Cupid or a cube or Saturn. It's more to it than meets the eye, like the Transformers saying. But yeah, we're living in some type of like place where they keep manipulating our minds, and there's people talking. Amateur astronomers are talking. They're astronomers looking at amateur ones. They're seeing it. There's something there. There's a formation. Something is at foot here, folks. We can call it Cloud City. We can call it whatever you want to call it. We can call it the Kachina from the Hopi prophecy. Whatever you want to talk and whatever you want to throw your authenticity on it with the bow of sugar. We are living in some type of weird reality, and we're marveling after the things that's come upon the earth, and what's hence, we're going to be fooled and bamboozled, and it's literally going to take us off into oblivion. It's going to take us off into oblivion. It's really not good for the soul. It really is not. So, speaking of glitching, I just glitched for a few moments. I'm going to conclude the broadcast because we're about an hour and a half in, and I'm visually disturbed. And how about you? But a big shout out to some of the folks in here, some of the new people here in the chat. I seen Denise, she's not new. Missy, she's been here for a long time too. Thank you, Rebecca, been here for a long time also. Greg, I haven't seen you for a long time. Thunderstone, have I ever seen you in here? Maybe I have. It's been a long time if I have. And let's see, big shout out to none of my moderators because I don't have any. Wait, so Oh, so Ray, there you are back in the chat again. Scott, and then all kinds of new folks. Nez Lover, good seeing you. And I want to thank you all so very much for donating to the coffee. Thank you for buying me a coffee. And like I said, the link is in the description there at the chat and in the description. So thank you all for supporting the channel today. Here on this news is not for everybody, because it isn't. It isn't not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But if you're a three-eye atlas, the cosmic boogie woogie, and you think about things as open-mindedness, and you like to travel across the cosmos and visually disturbance world, well, this is where we are, and this is where we're at. So I just want to thank you all so very much. There's a ton of people here in the chat. There's like, a couple hundred people here today. So thank you all so very much for this literally couple hour and a half program here on the News Is Not For Everybody. We want to thank you all so very much once again for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to try to do more of these periodically if I can get my body going and get my body cranking up. So, other than that, any questions in the chat before I leave here? Any more in the chat? But the chat is a poppin'. Greg Hall, what part of Kentucky you from? I'm down in the backwoods. I'm actually right underneath the big, well, I can't say. I'm not going to tell you the disclosed location because privacy matters. But I will tell you this. I'm close to the mountains, but I'm in a bigger city, but I'm below the biggest city in the middle of Kentucky. I'll let the puzzle pieces are in your court right now. So if you can get anything out of that, it's very vague. So, hey, brother Brian, Mr. Craig Hagen, Hayden, excuse me. I said Hagen, excuse me. And I just want to thank you all so very much for your time. Like always, it's a privilege. Thank you for spending your time with me today. It's a blessing. It really is a blessing. Okay, I just want to say that. Thank you so very much for allowing me to even do this for you guys, and you come on here every day, every time I go live. What a blessing. It means so much to me. And like I say here all the time, it's very therapeutic for me because I got a lot of things going on in my life and visually disturbances in my life. And I love to be able to present and give you my take and be able to show you things that I've found and studied through archaeology and everything else under the sun. Is a blessing. It is a super blessing for you all to be here. So thank you all so very much. And what lies beyond the ice wall, nobody knows, Scott, but we sure will find out one day if you get a Vimana or if you got a Orfana in your backyard and it crashes because it's a donation. Please remove the pilot if it's a gray and transport it to the Kentucky airport near you. So I would like to jump in there and take off across the airways. Forgive me, folks. I couldn't believe I kept serious there for a moment. But yeah, well, if you ever do find one, please email me, and we'll try to get there as soon as possible. If you have a donation aircraft floating in the back of your yard or falling down in your backyard. So speaking of, be blessed. Have a great day. Thank you all so very much for the donations. God bless you all. Keep it fresh, keep it real. Stay away from the visual disturbance Happy Meal. No, I'm joking. Stay away from the Happy Meal. Y'all like how I played that, but don't stay away from visual disturbance. Subscribe, like, hit that like button. Love you guys. Share this thing out. Thank you all for being part of the visual disturbance community. See you on the next one. Visual disturbance, I am out of here. Stay fresh, stay clean. Stay away from the visual disturbance world of insane. I'm talking about our world of reality. There's some things you should be posting your eyeballs on. It tears your mental state down. That's what Dr. Doom's for. But yeah, enough ranting. Visual disturbance. Keep it fresh, keep it real. Stay tuned to the visual disturbance realm of the community. So be blessed. Thank y'all again. See you on the next one.
I've got one that can see.